Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. My name's James, and today we're joined by two of our correspondents ahead of a London derby that kicks off game week 20. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Crystal Palace correspondent, Migtavius. How are you, Mig?
Afternoon, all good. Hope everyone's all right. Staying
Good
safe.
man. Saying afternoon when James puts the audio out in the morning. And let me introduce you to our West Ham United correspondent, Chris Stone. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Hi, guys.
How do?
Mig, let me start with you if I can, because we have a theme with you, with this podcast, that you come on in a bad mood and invariably have a good result afterwards. It's happened a number of times now, not least last time when you came on with Gemma and Harrison Eno before the 5-1 win at West Brom. I was watching the game at Arsenal, and in the first half, I was thinking, this is good. Mig's going to come on C.O.T.C. and he's going to be in a good mood, completely forgetting that he had to play Manchester City 3 days later. What is the mood at the moment for Palace?
I think it's very much sort of we didn't really expect anything from the Man City game. It was really more the performance. I mean, if it just seemed like everyone just switched off within 5 minutes, and it's just Man City just played their way around us, much like the Liverpool game, which was completely different from the Arsenal one, where we were everywhere, engines were up. Maybe we were just tired. We put too much into the Arsenal game, but it just seemed very lackluster. It felt very boring. It just let them play, and it was more. I mean, if you lose 5-0 to City, at most the scores this season have been crazy anyway. I mean, Man City losing 4 or 5-0 to Leicester and stuff like that. The scores are pretty irrelevant. It's more the performance within that. If you're trying your most, sort of like Leeds, if you're playing your most, attacking on the press, and you get whipped 4-0, at least you can say, well, we tried. We had good engines, we had good energy, we wanted to win, we just got outclassed. But it after the results against Sheffield United getting a win after quite a while, drawing with Arsenal, it seemed like we were going up again, and it just sort of dipped very sharply in performance. Maybe just the amount of games at the time, but it's sort of bubbling along. I mean, the Roy out argument is still floating around, especially with Rafa saying that he wanted to come back in the management, but I don't think it was going to happen. But it's all right. It's all right.
Is that a serious link? Could you see Rafa Benitez at Palace?
No, I don't think so. I've just seen a lot of people, just a lot of Newcastle fans, just saying they want him back, pretty much. But
he won't be going back to Newcastle. It's too much for a clash there with Mike Ashley. That just will not happen. Yeah. That's why he left in the first instance. But I guess there probably will be a lot of clubs if someone of Benitez's stature suddenly becomes available. Then, to be honest, clubs like yourself should be looking. We speak every time we have you on, Mig, about the progression of the football club, what it wants to be. It does feel like one of the things we've always felt about you over the years is consistency. Always feels like it's been there, but yet since we last spoke, it's been anything but consistency. You had the 5-1 at West Brom, which is like Palace 5 goals away from home. Don't expect that. Then he had draws with West Ham and Tottenham, which, I mean, that was the least you deserved, I think, in either of them. Is that fair, Chris? When you played Palace last month, Palace deserved at least a draw, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. They were good on the day.
You definitely deserved a draw against us. And then you got your trousers pulled down 7 by Liverpool. Then there was the 3-0 at Villa was just as bad, considering Villa had 10 men for so long. Then you have a decent result with Leicester. You beat Sheffield United, clean sheet at Arsenal. You feel, all right, that's back to normal. And then you get a hiding at City. Do you have frustration with the fact that he's gone to City? And I know obviously he was missing your best player, Zaha. And we think, it's worth saying we're recording Sunday afternoon, we think Zaha's probably going to be available for the game. He has been
I've seen him in training, yeah.
But is that frustrating for you? You've gone to Man City, played 4-5-1, and it seems like the only objective in the game is to keep the score down.
Yeah, pretty much. It just seems like, okay, well, we haven't got Wilf, so let's just try not to get destroyed too badly, which didn't really work out in the end. As soon as we don't have Zaha, it's just like we don't have any other options. We'll just replace him with Ayew or something in that position and hope for the best. Maybe we can get one on the counter, but it all kind of falls on Eze then to have some form of creativity. And I know he's only a few months into his Premier League career, so it's not exactly a seasoned vet to have that sort of pressure on his shoulders, but all the bodies just go towards him. There's no outlet for him, and then we just get overrun at the back and get destroyed pretty much. I mean, I know Wilf doesn't really have magnificent games every time, especially if he starts getting frustrated within a few minutes. Then it's just kind of like, oh well, it's going to be one of those days. But he supplies those moments where something could happen, and if you know that he's not going to be there, then it's just kind of like, well, the best we can hope for is maybe a draw or a solid loss rather than a maybe we can win this game.
It felt like that. Aim for a solid loss is basically exactly what it felt like.
Keep the goal difference down, pretty much.
Chris, are you nervous ahead of this game?
Not as much as I usually am when we play Palace, and that's kind of that worries me in a way, because when you start getting a bit too confident as a West Ham fan, that's when it all comes crashing down. I think in the past when we played Palace, we've always struggled against them because I think they've always been solid in the middle, been quite hard to break down. You know, obviously got Zaha, even sort of Townsend, you know, on the break. So we've obviously tried to attack them, can't break them down, don't create enough or something like that, and kind of get, I suppose, ground down in midfield. But the way we're playing and the way the team is set up, we're a little bit different. We're a little bit more workmanlike. Still got some flair in there and good balance, but we're more of a team than we were before, rather than a collection of supposedly talented individuals. So I think with that in mind, I'm fairly confident. I don't see us going there and scoring 3 or 4 goals or anything stupid like that, because we're not scoring that many goals. But it will be a tight game. But I do think we've got a very, very good chance. The way that we're playing, we're very well set up. We're very hard to break down ourselves. It could be a 0-0 or something. I don't know how the game will go, but we'll create chances. Zaha's probably obviously the one, because he can do something, and even Eze, like Mick said, he has his moments in games, and he's got that creativity.
If you win, you go 4th, Chris.
I know. I'm wary of thinking that too far
it's
ahead.
Nearly the end of January, mate.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, we could be on, 35 points, wasn't it? I think because the way the games are, we'd actually be above you. I know that wouldn't last, and I wouldn't read anything into that, but because you play last, I think.
Just trying to wind me up, aren't you? Chris, you go above Liverpool as well, I think, right?
I know.
Go 4th. So could you go first? Admittedly, it's worth saying yes, you go first. All the other teams, Liverpool, Everton, Tottenham, and that don't play till Wednesday or Thursday or so. But that psychologically, is that not just huge for the football club to look at that and go, right, January, shit, we're 4th? Like, psychologically, that's got to be a massive shift from where you were in June, July, chitting yourself every week, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not looking forward in the sense of, you're looking for when the easy games are coming up. On the day, I think we can compete. I wouldn't say we could beat anyone, but we can compete with most teams now. Obviously, there's the odd few exceptions, but I think we're pretty well set up. We've got a few different options and how they play. Obviously, a lot centred on keeping the squad or the main 11 fit, because we haven't got a huge sort of squad in terms of players that would come in and can make a meaningful difference. Obviously, the lack of strikers could be an issue if Antonio goes. But then saying that, we've done pretty well. We had Fabianski out and we had Antonio out for some of the games, and we still picked up points. So I think they're learning, and I think the fact that we're playing as a team, they make a difference. Don't get me wrong, but we could be being up that high is just crazy. I mean, I'm not even not even being January and thinking about the word relegation is a nice feeling.
You're definitely going to
Everything
stay
feels
up,
like
mate.
a bit of a bonus.
That's a certainty. Does Moyes deserve more credit for what he's doing at the moment?
I think he's starting to get it, certainly from the fan base. I mean, well, you'd have to be very, very, I don't know, very hard-bitten sort of West Ham fan to think that he shouldn't be in the job, or he doesn't deserve it. He certainly deserves that longer contract. They're talking about extending it at the end of the season, which is a bit, obviously you want that certainty that he's going to be there. I think 2 years on a contract, but yeah, he's done exceptionally well. I think he's done a really, really good job, and I think he seems to be. I don't know whether he's learned things from the past or whatever his experiences, but even in his interviews, even if we've won, he doesn't go overboard. Obviously, he celebrates when we score and that kind of thing. He's got that emotion, so I think he's brought into the club in that sense, or they've got that collective mentality. Whether it's the stuff with the board, I don't know. They've got to get on and play, and they've got to maybe focus on the playing. Maybe that's helped in a funny way. Lack of fans has probably helped them in an odd way.
Let's talk FPL a little bit. There is a little bit of irony in the fact of having you two both on, and it's worth saying we're recording prior to the Manchester United Liverpool FA Cup game. Of course, Chris, following your win against Doncaster on Saturday, you'll be playing the winner of that in the 5th round. What it essentially means is that at least one of you will be playing in game week 29, which is future blank. For yourself, Mig, you would be playing United, obviously if they go out of the cup, and for yourself, Chris, you'd have Arsenal. Now, obviously for both of you, in your case, Chris, should you make it through to the FA Cup quarterfinals, you'll obviously have a double. And obviously in your case, Mig, should Manchester United make the FA Cup quarterfinals, you'll have a double. Your fixture list, Mig, is very nice, actually.
It is.
For quite a long period. Just looking here, obviously West Ham and Wolves at home in the next 2, Newcastle and Leeds away, Burnley, Brighton, Fulham, Tottenham, West Brom, Manchester United. And that Manchester United game obviously could be brought forward to a potential double with Fulham, depending on their cup performances. Is now a good time to be looking at your assets generally? Because, I mean, even take away doubles and blanks for a moment, those next 6 fixtures are pretty good.
Yeah, it's just like earlier in the season when we had a nice run of a few fixtures. There's definitely opportunities to bring some, maybe 1 or 2 Palace players in. I wouldn't go crazy and like triple up like you would with West Ham at the moment. But there's definitely, I mean, Mitchell's always a solid option. I think he's pretty much, I know I was a bit hesitant the last time I was on, but I think he's pretty much got that left back spot back now. I think I said before previously that we'd have to see what PVA does in January, because there's been no talk with, well, to be fair, I think there's been no talk with like half the squad who are up at the end of the season to see what happens with him. But I think Mitchell now has that left back spot and he's 3.9 mil. So, why not? The new fella, Mateta, could be an option. I mean, he's 6 mil, so he's around the same sort of price as Adams, more pay, that sort of thing. Hopefully he gets a debut against West Ham, debut goal, that'd be nice. But there's a definite, if you're going to get Palace players in, they're probably going to be now, because as soon as we get to past that Man United game, but the Spurs onwards, there's some tough fixtures until the end of the season. So if you're going to get your Palace players in, get them in the January sales.
Mitchell's the obvious first name, as you kind of already mentioned. At the time of recording, it's 3.9, and I don't anticipate by Monday that it'll be up to 4.0. But that price increase is coming imminently, and it's likely to keep going, isn't it? Because I think, I'm in agreement with you, Mig. He's going to stay in at left back now, isn't he, with the PVA contract situation? It felt like following the Liverpool and the Villa games, particularly, there was a back to basics for, even to the extent that Eze got left out the team for a couple of games when we were speaking about the performances against West Brom ourselves, and even the first game with West Ham, about saying your left side, that kind of link up of PVA, Eze and Zaha likes to drift that way, being really strong. And it was like it got completely ripped up. Yeah. And then obviously the injury to Jeff Schlupp against Sheffield United allowed Eze back in, basically. And he should be in the team. Wherever he plays, shouldn't he? There's no question about it. I think a few of us looking on the sidelines going, how can he believe in Eberechi Eze? Yeah, because he's a super talent. Any love for Eze as a potential FPL differential?
Yeah, I mean, I picked him up in a draft team, but that's about it. But yeah, if he can come to a sort of level of Zaha, I mean, he's a good mil cheaper. He's on set pieces, which is always good. He's already banged in a couple of free kicks this season. He's always likes to take on players, much like Zaha. He's not huge passer of the ball. I'm not sure if he's a real strong passer of the ball, but he definitely likes to take him on. The link up play between Wilf and Eze was looking good until Wilf got injured. I think there was probably too much attacking on the left hand side. So with PVA, which sort of showed the defensive frailties, and he had to defend a lot more, cover PVA a lot more. So with Mitchell behind him, who's not going to go adventuring every opportunity he gets, it frees him up a little bit. He can cut inside if he wants. He can have Wilf overlap him. So there's the definite option if you want in a fourth midfielder or something like that. If you've got I wouldn't want to say a Soucek or something like that because he's done quite well. But if you wanted to invest a little bit more, I think he's like 5'8" now.
Eze's 5'8", Zaha's 7'3", but that could be about to dip to 7'2" soon, possibly. If I'd said to you, look, have one, would you still preference be Wilf, would it? Out
of the two, if you've got the money, I've still got Wilf in my team now. He probably would have been possibly going this week, but I have two red players, so they have to go first. But so Wilf gets West Ham, which is always, it's always
he's one of those red players, Kevin De Bruyne, by chance.
Possibly. The other one maybe
it's interesting. I mean, if you didn't have Zaha, there's a lot of talk at the moment in terms of coming right down to midfielders, even like Soucek, Gundogan, that kind of level, or a little bit up to Eze's, Foden's. And then you got Zaha at sort of similar price to Harvey Barnes, James Maddison at Leicester. I mean, if we were to compare that, would you recommend that you'd go Zaha, considering that fixture list, over, say, a James Maddison at the moment?
The only thing really Wilf has at the moment is the fixture list. He hasn't really got the form that the Maddisons, the Gundogans, even Barnes is looking better at the moment. But the fixtures, the possible double, if it fits in somewhere around there, would be nice. He's definitely nailed to play every time that Roy can possibly get his legs going. So I would, if you have obviously if you're going down from De Bruyne, you're going to have excess of money in the bank, so you might as well have a little go on him. You're more likely to have the likes of Grealish and Soucek and Gundogan already in your team anyway. So I'd recommend it. You could do well.
One attacking return for Zaha since the 5-1 at West Brom in game week 11. He had 10 in the first 11 game weeks, and missed 2 of them, Burnley and Newcastle, because of COVID.
Yeah.
That doesn't look great on paper. No. Historically, you had a brilliant run at a similar time last year in sort of November, December of the seasons later this year, where Zaha was a punt for a lot of people for about 8 game weeks with, again, a really good run of fixtures, and it was very unrewarding. And I don't know if that, for me, that would be in the back of my mind going,
oh, yeah.
Not shocked. But to be fair, he's OOP up front. Do you assume that stays now with the signing of Mateta? Because reports seem to be that this guy's coming into play, isn't he? He's not coming in to be anyone's backup or anything.
Oh, no, yeah. I'd imagine he's coming in to fill in some goals. But I think he would probably just drop Benteke, because he's had Benteke and Wilf up front. It's not like there's been a struggle. It's not been Wilf rotating with someone. It's always been someone with Zaha up front. Mateta is much sort of physically the same as Benteke. He's an inch taller. He's obviously not built as big as Benteke, but he's also good with his feet. He wins balls in the air, so I'm presuming he'll just drop Benteke, maybe even look to send Batshuayi back to Chelsea if he possibly can.
Batshuayi, his warm-up at Man City was something else, mate. He was just standing there.
He had a thick jacket on or something, I suppose. Maybe that's, he had hot water bottles.
I couldn't believe that Hodgson bought him on, because he looked like he didn't fancy it at all. What a waste of talent he's beginning to look, because that guy actually knows where the net is. Yeah. Now you're looking at it again, he's in on loan. We spoke about this last time we had you on. He's now going to be sort of 5th choice. I think Mateta at 6 million is one to really watch shortly. Obviously, the massive benefit to start with, he's got no ownership.
Yeah.
And I think there is a lot of looking for FPL forwards in and around his value. Antonio, you couldn't make the case to buy a fella we haven't seen over someone like Antonio at the moment. But with that fixture run, wouldn't take a lot for them to be a little bit of interest in him. He's quick, he's powerful, he looks world class on YouTube, as does everybody. But his statistics in the Bundesliga suggest that if he could convert that to the Premier League, he's someone who could get 10 to 12 goals a season, actually. And that would make him interesting if he could get 6 or 7 between now and May.
Yeah. I mean, if it's the sort of thing where if he starts on Tuesday, and he looks good, gets a few shots off, maybe grabs a goal or grabs an assist or something, eyes are going to swiftly go on to him, especially if you've got people like Adams, who hasn't really done much recently, more pay, that sort of price range. He could, I mean, he's got, what, 14, 10, 12?
He's got 14 this season in Germany,
yeah. So I think he scored like half of Mainz's goals. I mean, they're second bottom, so we won't really talk about that. But he scored half of their goals. So
that's kind of relative then, with respect, isn't it? That he's going to be playing for a team who, in a lot of games, isn't going to have so much of the ball and stuff.
Yeah.
He'll be used to that. So the fit could be a nice fit. In a weird way, it might even be better that he's done that for a club who you say is struggling, rather than, I don't know, he did it at Dortmund and now he's coming to play in a very different style at Palace. So it could be that he's the right fit, actually. He's one to definitely watch. What would you say, Chris, to anyone who hasn't got Antonio at the moment?
Funny enough, I haven't got him.
What are you saying to yourself?
What are you doing, you idiot? I think now I think you saw against West Brom, he's still not 100%. He hasn't got quite his speed back, but his strength is there. He's got enough speed to be out, and he's got the strength to cope with that. He's gonna get goals. He's not going to score probably, I don't know how many goals he'll score by the end of the season. He'll obviously get double figures easily. But the thing is, he can score against anyone. So he's a good player to have, because he will score. That goal he scored for West Brom, he wouldn't have scored that 2 seasons ago. He just never would have been in that position. So he's obviously improved in his finishing. He's getting in the positions. He can just, aside from FPL, he can just do so much. He can pick up the ball anywhere and he can run with it. He takes pressure off. He brings other players in because of that. It frees up the space. FPL wise, he is a good. Obviously, a lot of people are looking at cheaper options, aren't they? The 6 million. If you're looking at the Bamford, Watkins, all of those sorts of things. I suppose you're looking at the fixtures that comes in. We've got a reasonable run of games, I think. Obviously, we've got Palace, we've got Liverpool, Villa, Fulham, and Sheffield United. So some of them are going to be a little bit tighter, but I'd like to think maybe against someone like Sheffield United or Fulham, he might. If he could get 3 goals out of those 5 games, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm working in my head at the moment. I've got 3 of your players. I've got Soucek, and Antonio, and I'm working with respect on the assumption at the moment that you'll probably play Arsenal now in game week 29, because you will have to win at Anfield or Old Trafford to go through. So you're underdogs. It's not to say you can't win it, but you're underdogs. If I work on that assumption, some of the fixtures you've got, so from 25 onwards, Tottenham, Man City, Leeds, United, then Arsenal, is a tough run. And I see a lot of people saying, you don't want to have like 2 or 3 West Ham players running through that period. Now, for someone like me who's intending to get through the double game week and the blank, ideally without using the second wild card, I'm actually thinking those 3 West Ham players are great. So I'm thinking Soucek and just leave on the bench most weeks.
Yep.
It's fine. Soucek, I can take my pick whether I play him or not, depending on how I feel and what else is available. Antonio, I don't care who's playing. He'll play, because I know he's capable of scoring in the big games. Is that opinion justifiable?
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing with West Ham this year is when they've been priced at the beginning of the season, they've been priced as a relegation team.
You said,
They're not even. Well, obviously you're looking at them as a top half team, but you're looking at them now. They're at that at the moment, obviously league position wise, they're pushing into the top half of that. That sort of 7th and above kind of category, rather than just in the top 10. So you're getting value for money. That's the thing. And like you say, you can put them on the bench on the odd games. Soucek's a bit of a funny one. I know, obviously, a lot of people have him as their fifth midfielder, which I think is a little bit of a mistake. Obviously, it depends on your team and who else you've got, but he's one of those players that you probably have to play most weeks if you've got him, because he will score. But obviously, it depends how that affects the rest of your team. But yeah, those three players are pretty good. I mean, obviously, Soufal offers some attacking threat going forwards. He links up well with Soucek. They seem to have a good understanding. He seems to be able to play most games. The other one is obviously Dawson, because he's come into the team and he's a cheap player. So you're not so worried about leaving a £4.5 million player on the bench. But yeah, they're good prices. That's the thing. And like you say, I'd say Antonio, he could score against the Liverpools, the Man City, whoever it is he's playing against on his day. So you'd probably want two at least. And then, like you say, if you've got someone like Soufal, if he's on the bench, you've got him there ready for when you need him.
Yeah, I think from an FPL perspective, you're fascinated in terms of how this run works. I think the fact that you're unlikely at this moment to have the double means that with fixtures stiffening around 25, I think there'll actually be quite a bit of a sale for West Ham players. Obviously, there's going to be loads of people thinking towards bench boost. So from their perspective, they're going to be thinking, sugar, do I want a part of a bench boost? West Ham players away to Manchester City as a single fixture is not ideal. But the flip of that is if you can work through and leave them on the bench that week, then you're ready for them for 29. And I think, as we've said, like particularly in Antonio's case, fixtures don't matter. Just interestingly on the defensive assets, you mentioned Dawson, who's come in, and I guess he's a lock now alongside of Bonner as the two favoured centre halves. Dawson's got 20 FPL points in 4 games. No bonus points, 3 clean sheets on a 2-pointer. Mig, your high scoring defender is Mitchell on 31 points. It's only 11 more than Dawson. Gator has 62. Mm-hmm. How has that all come about? Is it just because of injuries have really blighted you defensively and stuff this year?
I think that there was a lot of injuries at the start of the season. I mean, Kouyaté is pretty much nailed at centre back now, and he's a central midfielder. Obviously, the right back got rotated quite heavily. Guaita hasn't had an amazing season. I think we've only had really like 3-4 clean sheets, something like that. He's definitely dropped off since last season. It's just when we played well, we've still leaked goals. And when we've been humbled heavily, so we've ended up getting minus points. So it's not been solid yet. Our defense hasn't been really one you can rely on. It's only really there, Mitchell, for price wise. You're not, and then the blind ambition that FPL has for PVA to be a left mid is only really interest that there has been in a Palace defense. And I can't justify for going for someone like a Ward or a Dan or a Cahill, because Cahill comes back for a couple of games and he goes off injured again. And Sacco comes in and has an absolute bear and gets dropped again.
He's out for a while, I think, Sacco, isn't he? Yeah.
Kouyaté is the best one, but he's the midfielder. He's not going to get any of the points. So it's only really there as a to fill in a gap of 4 mil or 3.9.
So no love for Ward then at 4.3. I thought he was your best player at Arsenal. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he can be great on his day. I mean, I'm in love with the man. He's great. He's wonderful. He's a beautiful man. But he's more attacking than Mitchell, so he's going to give you a little bit more. But then he also gets caught because he wasn't good at Man City. He's like some of us. No, he's like some of us. He's in his 30s. His legs are going to get tired. But if you want to, it's 0.4 more, 0.4 less to go to Mitchell. So it's not really much.
Yeah, I think Mitchell's safe now, isn't he? Yeah. It was all that debating we did last summer. It's now become very obvious. No one even knows who Nathan Ferguson is anymore. I don't think. I just looking, Mig, by the way, Gator has more FPL points than David De Gea. Interestingly,
well, I mean, he's a better keeper than David De Gea. But
yeah, of course. Any love for yours, Chris? Flappy's obviously recently come back as well, or is it just a case in you? defensively, it's Soufal, Cresswell, or Dawson, isn't it? Are we just not because Flappy's always a great FPL option, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that's who my third player was, and that was more because I did the bench boost. So you want to have two, you want to have a goalkeeper with 2 decent games that's got a chance of clean sheets. Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult with him. Certainly, in isolation, he's a very good asset. He seems to be picking up a few little niggly injuries.
It's been coming now, yeah.
Muscular injuries, so that's always a little bit of a worry because the last thing you want to do is be stuck without a goalkeeper or having to make a transfer because of that. You'd like to think that as hopefully he's over those and that he sees the season through. But yeah, I mean, points wise, he's probably, I think he's our 3rd highest point scorer, and he's missed games. So he's a good asset. It's obviously it's the price, and when you look at you say someone like Martinez for Villa, that's who maybe you're comparing him with in terms of a team in and around that that kind of area. So it's going to depend on fixtures and who your other keeper is. But he's solid. I probably will lose him at some stage to get an outfield player in as a third player. Obviously, probably Antonio because I haven't got him. But yeah, he's good. Any of the defence, it's just the price points really. There's not really a lot between them. No, Cresswell's obviously got set pieces. He takes the corners on the left. Bowen takes them on the right, which seems to be sort of missed. That he does take all. They share the corners basically. Bowen's a lot better with Antonio in the team. More because the focus isn't on him. It gives him a lot more space. He doesn't have as many players around him. He's not the only player because he carries the ball. So, but it's all price points. I think the three, a defender, Soucek and Antonio, and you've kind of done there really. You don't really need to overthink it.
We never speak about Ogbonna. He's got 9 more points than Soufal. Soufal's 4.7, Ogbonna's 5. That's only 14 less than Cresswell at 5.4. And we never speak about Ogbonna, but he's always liable for a goal from a set piece, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean him and Dawson, obviously, but Ogbonna's always he seems to have improved a hell of a lot in the last year. He's consistently, if he's not the man of the match, he's close to it. He's very popular now. West Ham players. He actually looks better with Dawson there. I think he looks more in the sense of how comfortable he looks. He looks a bit more relaxed, having that person there. But he's always getting the end of things. I mean, I think I'm trying to think the last game. It was I think it was against West Brom where he picked the ball up on the wing and went past someone and put a cross in. And you think that's the centre back. But I mean, yeah, he's big. He's going to get on set pieces. He's always scored a couple of goals each season. Again, it's all about price points, isn't it? You've got other players which are slightly cheaper, but he's only 5, so he's a decent pick. To be fair, there's not a massive amount between them. Cresswell's probably got the higher point ceiling, but he's that bit more expensive. So if you're going to pay 5. Yeah, so if you're going to pay 5.3, you're probably going to want to pay. Most people are going to want to have someone in a better club, as it were, like a Man City or something like that, when you can pick someone up. But yeah, any of the defenders, there's not a lot between them. They're going to get clean sheets on the day. That's why I like the cheaper options, because you can bench them and it's not so impactful.
You've become trustworthy from that perspective in terms of the prospects of clean sheets. I think we're beginning to see that real comparison of what was built at Everton.
Yeah,
West Ham's now. Suj has spoken in the past about you're the sort of team who someone needs a win. Like say you were playing Newcastle this midweek. Suj's comment would have been in the past, you're the sort of club will go over there and get your belly tickled because they need a win. But if you were playing them this weekend, now we'd all go, well, West Ham will go down and win, probably keep a clean sheet as well. Like the mentality has changed somewhat from that perspective. You're the only club, Chris, that hasn't had a penalty yet this season.
I know.
In the Premier League. Do you know, if we assume that Mark Noble won't be on the pitch, do you know who will be taking them?
In all honesty, no. I could hazard a guess. I started looking back on Transfer Market because Noble's been the stalwart penalty taker for so long, and and everyone thinks it's Antonio. I wouldn't say it isn't. He's probably got the fact he's the striker and he's more of a striker now. I would say he's probably he's probably the favourite. The other players that you probably put in contention aren't regularly in the team, and they would be Lanzini, because he took one, or there was a season previous, I think a couple of seasons ago, he took 3 penalties. So he's obviously decent, but again, you don't know because it's all under a different manager. So you've got nothing really tangible to base it on. I would say if I had to put my now to the mast, I'd put Antonio first, but only just, then probably Lanzini, and then you're kind of you're struggling then who would take it.
Antonio obviously took one at Old Trafford during the restart period.
Yeah.
Which Noble was on the pitch. Noble gave to him because I think to help him get to a goal bonus or something like that.
I think it was to get to 10 goals. So
something like that.
Yeah. So that was.
We've heard a rumor. Shout out one of our patrons, Sham. We've heard a rumor that Declan Rice might be on them. He strikes the ball well, doesn't he?
I mean, he does strike the ball well. I mean, he's taken a few free kicks. Again, it is until you get probably a couple of penalties, you're not really going to know. I know it's what people want to hear a certainty, but you can't. I don't think anyone can really say, because it is speculation. I
just can't wait for the rush for Declan Rice at 4.8.
I was going to say, is that a ploy to make Declan Rice an FPL option?
I can't wait. I mean, that's part of the point, isn't it? Oh, who's on penalties? Who's on penalties for West Ham? Does it matter? They haven't had one. And invariably,
you know what's going to happen now?
There is someone every season who is like, they start whinging about it in April. Why are we the only team that hasn't had penalties? And from that in mind, it wouldn't be a surprise if West Ham didn't get one, because if you haven't had one yet, there's part of the reason why.
Yeah.
So you look at clubs like United with people like Martial, Rashford, Pogba, Fernandes. They know how to win them, right? Your guys, for whatever reason, I can't even think of Mig's saying you haven't got divers, basically. There's a reason why you're not winning penalties as such. So I don't think you should read too much into buying a West Ham player based on who the penalty taker might be. But one thing you did say, interestingly, Chris, is that Antonio you think is probably good for Bowen. Perversely, can I ask, is he bad for Soucek?
Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen the same thing. I don't know who put out, but someone put out a stat, didn't they, saying that I think Soucek's 5 goals have come when when Antonio haven't been on the. Is it gone?
I'm claiming that stat. Go on, keep going.
He may have seen it when he was typing it.
Soucek, yes. Soucek scored 5 goals when Antonio's not been there, and Bowen scored 5 when he has been there. I suppose it's because Antonio's makes a lot more runs into the box than Haller. He makes a lot more runs than Haller. So that is obviously going to be a factor, I guess. You've still got the corners, but teams don't tend to score from corners as much as they used to, 5-10 years ago. So you can have 20 corners, you might score 2 of them. That is valid. But I still think he could score. He can still score. Soucek. He's still looking to get in the box, but I think when he's making those runs, not so much from the corners. Obviously, Antonio's already there. He's making those runs, so maybe that's probably impacting him slightly.
What West Ham have you got at the moment, Mig?
I got Soufal and Soucek.
Soufal and Soucek. Yeah. Are they in your FPL team for this game week?
Yes.
Are you going to buy Antonio as well?
I don't think, not this game week, because I need to get rid of Kevin and Jamie Vardy. I have Bamford, who can easily become Antonio. He certainly dropped off, so maybe after this game week.
If you go Jamie Vardy to Antonio, you'll have enough for Messi, mate.
Well, that's true, but Messi's not in great form at the moment. Can't even get Team of the Year. What's the point?
So no hesitation from your point to start them. Then, what other defensive options have you got?
Oh God, you're making me think now. I got Cancelo. I got Mitchell, obviously, who I might.
Will he start for you, Mitchell?
Oh. So I don't know. I've had a thing this season where I've left him first sub as a superstition, because if he gets a clean sheet, then it's fine because Palace have got a clean sheet. and if they lose, then I haven't lost any points. So it's more of a superstition thing that I've even owning him in the first place. But so he may start as first sub. Actually, I'll look at my team right now.
Soufal or Mitchell? I have to say, I think my perspective on that at the moment would be that I would pick Soufal. I mean, I haven't got Mitchell, so it's easy to say. Although at the moment I've got Soufal bust on the bench, but I mean, to be honest, if I hadn't used the bench boost last week, I might have been using it this week. I don't really want to leave him on the bench. What would you say, Chris, the people got a similar dilemma? I think one that will get mentioned quite a lot is like Soufal versus Justin this week, for example. Soufal at Palace, Justin at Everton. Is that you shouldn't leave the Leicester player out, or is it a case of it's Palace, we should play the West Ham player? What's your thoughts?
I suppose in like the Justin case, I suppose he's got a little bit more attacking output than Soufal. Soufal's probably, he might get a goal by the end of the season. You know, he doesn't get in the box a lot. He's normally on the edge of the box, but he creates chances. So, and obviously West Ham as a team. So I think you have to, for the clean sheet, you have to look at the team first, really, don't you, rather than the player, because it's obviously the team that gets the clean sheet. So yeah, there's not a lot in it. I mean, I'd be fairly confident with Soufal. I think the issue is, and for myself, is where you've got with the bench boost, it wasn't a problem, but I've got 2 Man City and 2 Liverpool. Obviously, I'm probably going to lose one of the Liverpool, but you've then got a situation where I've got, I'd have 2 Man City, a Liverpool player, and a 4th player. So I either drop the Liverpool player possibly, or I play 4 at the back. So it all depends there. The trouble is when you've done bench boost, you have 15 sort of players that are playing that you could put in your team, and then it's who do you bench? So that's one of the things I'll probably look to sort out. But yeah, I'd be fairly okay playing him. I mean, the Everton game was a case in point. You know, we went to Everton away. Don't normally do well at Everton. Got a clean sheet, got the win. So they
play Justin then, because he's got Everton now. That doesn't help, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, and Everton aren't doing very well. I suppose. I mean, we've got some decent fixtures. I suppose we've got Liverpool afterwards, and then we've got Villa, we've got Fulham and Sheffield United. So you've got games there. There's not a lot in it. I'd say. Just Palace. I don't know. They're just our bogey team. So that would probably sway me. That's my personal thing rather than any logic to it. But
do you feel like that, Mig? Do you think West Ham nice?
Some, not hugely nice. I mean, they're always close, but there's always a game that we have a chance of winning, rather than going to somewhere like Man City or something where, well, to be fair, we still have a chance of winning Man City, But it's definitely one of the better fixtures for us. We all seem to turn up, especially in London derbies. But it'll still be super close, I think.
Did you decide what you're doing with your back line, Mig?
Well, at the moment, I got Cancelo against West Brom, Soufal's in there against Palace, and I got Dallas against Newcastle, who's a dead cert. And then I got
Dallas against Newcastle over Mitchell. Interesting.
Yeah, because Newcastle are.
Yeah, we'll have FPL footballer on the C.O.T.C very soon. I can promise you to find out what's going on. Hopefully, their situation might look a bit better for him by the time that comes round. Thanks very much, guys. Before we let you go, let's do predictions for the game on Tuesday then. Mig, you're the home team. Off you go.
I'm going to go with the 1-1.
1-1. Chris?
My head says 0-0, but I'm going to go with my heart and say 1-0 West Ham.
Soufal for the clean sheet.
My head tells me that West Ham will win. My heart tells me that when you're in a position to take advantage of something, you will probably fuck it up.
Yep.
And therefore, I'm going to go for 1-1 as well. I think the fact that, in all seriousness, the fact that Zaha looks like he's going to be available would tip it. If Zaha's not available, I would definitely fancy West Ham to win. It's just statistically proven. I mean, it's 1 win in 5 years, I think, without Zaha or something, Mig, like something unbelievable.
I've lost count.
Yeah, so I mean, the fact that he looks like he's going to be available, it seems from pictures and videos that he's been training over the weekends, expecting to be available. That's a different Palace, if so. And I think they might actually, ironically, give Soufal on that right-hand side a bit of a tough game, actually, him and Eze. So I'll go for 1-1 as well. C.O.T.C be back in a couple of weeks, guys. I don't know who will be on yet because obviously very cramped from fixture scheduling at the moment. But what I can tell you is tomorrow's People's Poll is likely to finish our feature our Chelsea correspondent, a rotation FPL. That'll be out immediately after the game week 20 deadline. It won't be FPL focus. We will be talking about what is going on at Chelsea at the moment. We'll get Ted's thoughts on that. Thanks very much to Mig, to Chris. You can follow Mig at Migtavius on Twitter, and you can follow Chris at FI_FPL123 on Twitter as well. No, there'll be no flashy logos, but you can find their handles in the Twitter bios and all that in the bio for the YouTube and the bio for the audio as well. Thanks, guys. Good luck to everybody for game week 20. Cue music, please, man child.